Hi, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Timothy with timothygroup.com, and today we're going to have our tea of the week. So, normally I have it on Tuesdays, but I was out on Tuesday, so we're going to have it today. I know Tuesday is a great day to have tea, but the way I see it, it's more important to have a tea of the week than it is to have a tea of the week on a specific day. So I try to pick Tuesdays because Tuesday goes well with tea, but today's Wednesday. And also, too, since all of our videos are basically put on file for the future as well, we can really have this video or tea of the week any time or day. So today we're going to have one of my earlier batches, actually, of Oolong tea today. I think we may have done Oolong tea one time because I might have mentioned before, Oolong is one of my favorite teas there are. So I think jasmine beats Oolong just by a thread, but Oolong is definitely one that I like to enjoy, especially on a cool evening, and the evening like we're having here in Oregon today. So as you can see, pretty much everything you need is the infuser, the tea of course, a cup, and then have a spoon, or I have these little shovels that come complimentary with each of the bags. And then we're going to fill in just a little bit in the infuser and pour hot water over it. You really want about one small spoon right here. So part of the reason too why the other spoons are called a teaspoon, right? But these little mini spoons work fantastic. And then also to remember that it's going to rehydrate as well. So when we add water, it's going to expand and make a lot of tea. We're just going to use just a little bit, even 1/2 of the bottom even. So just a little bit. And then we're going to start boiling some water and get that going in just a hot second. After the water boils, we're just going to add it to the tea leaves in the infuser. Now, I've mentioned in the past, a traditional teacup is about 6 ounces, but we use 12 ounces here, and it still makes more than enough tea. So, and as you can see too, it's already starting to make its color. And as tradition, we're going to let that sit for about 10 or 12 minutes and go probably enjoy some Fallout or just talk for a little while. Who follow, sorry that was a late start, but for those of you that follow, I was having a flea market event. Oh, look at my Ninja Turtles in the background. All right, so I was having my flea market event, and it went pretty well. So I sold a pretty good amount of tea. So I sold over half of my handcrafted infused tea and a good set of the others as well. So I did a couple of incense too. I had a couple orders on incense and a couple of socks. But surprisingly though, the tea was such a big hitter. I'm actually thinking about serving tea in future events. So not only can I make a larger profit with it, which is, just always a plus, but people seem to really like the free samples that I hand out. And in fact, I bring a 2 gallons thermos with me, and it's dried up within the first couple hours. So it's kind of sad because actually I stopped asking people if they want some free samples, only because I run out so fast. So I'm going to have to buy, or I'm going to choose to buy a couple more of those cauldron, like the thermoses, and probably start serving tea like as a beverage. In addition, that they can also buy the loose leaf tea themselves. It's definitely very exciting, something to look forward to. And then also, although I haven't asked the organizers who are in charge of doing Fallout. My goal is to do my best to make the Fallout event this year on November 14th and actually start selling tea there too. So this is going to be, I guess, like transition and something exciting to look forward to. Tell me though too if you're watching this on like if you have ideas on cups or like the way the design should look, or if you have an interest on like Fallout themes or what have you, because I'm still in the development era for that, and I haven't applied yet. I plan on applying maybe after May, like May. That way, I still have about 6 months. I can see what the organizers are saying, and I can see where I'm at with my personal life as well, since I'll have to be traveling to Southern Nevada, which is really, really far from Oregon. So, Oregon's not a big state itself, but Southern Nevada is pretty much like going through all of California and a little bit to the east. So it's gonna be one drive. See, so I'm starting to get some stuff organized and tidy, but I'm definitely excited. I also put in applications for the county fair here, and that's really exciting. The upfront cost is wild, but the reason why they charge you that much is because they're pretty confident you're going to make more. So, but yeah, that's exciting. That's going to be in July. So I hope to see you guys at the Oregon Lane County Fair. And also, I've been putting in applications for events. I asked the library because the library's having an event. I was all like, what goes great with books is tea, and we can work out where we make donations, or like part of what I make goes to helping the library. I also emailed the gaming expo, and I have gaming socks which would work, and I'm sure I can tie in some kind of tea to go in with that too. But I'm really surprised on I mean, I'm thankful, I'm blessed, but I'm also very pleased and thankful how well the flea market event went, and how much tea I sold. And it's funny because there's this 13-year-old boy. He's 13-year-old with his daddy, and he was selling Hot Wheels and cookies, and I feel like young people like to, I don't know, like warm up to me or whatever. So we were talking, he was talking, I was talking, and we were talking all day. And he's actually the one that gave me the idea that I should start serving tea as like, in the cups. I was all like, this kid is going places. I might have to ask him to work for me. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes, and we're going to see how the tea is. Because as you know, you don't want to drink the tea when it's freshly boiled. Plus, also too, it tastes better after you give it a couple of minutes, to aerate and let the leaves rehydrate, because that's where the flavor is. Today it's not blended though. I was gonna do a blended tea, but yesterday I was down for the count, so I did not do anything. I wasn't sick or anything, but I was drained on energy, let's put it that way. And then since I had my event, I choose to re-inventory my website. I'm probably going to take the holiday socks off the website, although I could keep them there. But I'm going to re-account the inventory for the tea, and then start putting up the like gaming socks and other socks I do have. I also too bought like regular, like generic, plain, black and white socks, or like pink and white or whatever, for the ladies. So that way, I have fun socks, novelty socks, and like everyday socks as well. I think that I probably did better on the tee than the socks, because my audience that I guess lean towards it are like the college students and younger crowds, and then people with money. No, but it's definitely like your older crowds and people who they like to more window shop, than buy. So to make a good amount with kind of an establishment like that is all right. And then also too, like, they provide tables even though we pay for the rental, but we don't have to provide um, our own tents and that kind of stuff. And then also too, at least the events that require tents here in Oregon, they want really heavy weights. I'm guessing it gets windy out here or stormy, but when I was in Seattle, each leg, like for your tent, needed to have 10 pounds on it, which is understandable. You don't want your tent flying away. But out here, those 25 pounds. And although, like 25 pounds is a lot of weight. So to put that on every leg, which is fine. But mind you, though, too, I'm traveling upstairs, downstairs, out of my apartment. And I could keep, an extra 100, 200 pounds in the car. But, that's just adding weight, to the car, fuel efficiency and stuff. Um, and then I'm thinking about getting just dumbbells. But also, I know the sandbags are, very commonly used too. But for me to use my tents, I have to do 25-pound weight. So it's minimum 100 pounds. I think it's actually 150 because I think I have six or eight legs on a 10 by 10. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. And then for me to qualify in the farmer market, I think I need to get my tea from Oregon, and I'm currently getting it from California. But I am in the middle of getting a seller's permit for downtown where I can street pedal. And although the crowd is not nearly as like large, um, it's kind of like an easy way to skirt around, admission fees and paying this and that. Because they also have something called the Saturday market, which is essentially like another farmer market. But they also want to take a percentage, like a cut of what you're making on top of your fees. But also the county fair is the same way though too. But as I tell people, everyone's out there to make a dollar. So I'm out there to make a dollar too, but I do my best to be fair. And according to my timer right here, it says it's been just over 10 minutes. So I'm going to check on the tea pretty soon. That's my whiteboard. I had to remove my whiteboard. Um, the tacky that I had wasn't sticking to the wood frame. So I had to basically nail it and use like tacks. But lining it up straight was a little bit of a challenge for kind of eyeballing it. Um, but there we go. So I got my whiteboard. It's been a blessing. You see that? Actually, I forgot to get a marker. I got to get a new marker because I'm already out of ink. So the tea is still just a little bit too hot to drink, at least for me. It's still too hot. I mean, if you wanted to speed it up, you can add cold water or you can add ice. So I just don't have any ice in the freezer yet because it's still cold here. But I'm gonna be getting ice pretty soon. And then also too, I might as well too start doing iced tea, selling iced tea to people. Um, the tea that I'm doing for the Fallout events, I'm gonna be doing, like the camping tea and the soot tea and all of that stuff. But I'm also gonna do dirty water and different quality grades of water too, by how dark the tea is. As you can see, the leaves have already rehydrated and they've essentially filled up to a good chunk of the whole container. So it's definitely too why you want to leave a little bit of room. So, so this is definitely extra hot cup today. And too, you might have to give it, 15 minutes even to cool down. But as I was trying to get a sip earlier, it's still fogging my glasses. And if it fogs my glasses, it's too hot. Plus, also, why would you want to drink something and then not be able to see, right? One of my favorite things that are things that were fun, one of the fun parts about when we worked with SpaceX is we would have these things that were, we'd have like fun fact Friday, and always do these fun facts. And of course, I would do a lot of, space and science fun facts, of course. We had some people, they were just, off the wall with it. But as far as like, not fun facts, and try to say they were fun. They were non-fun fun facts, but I would always try to have it be interesting and delightful and something kind of science and space due to the fact is that we were working for a space company. Actually, also the X for SpaceX is space explorations. So X is short for exploration. In case you didn't know, but that wasn't my fun fact. My fun fact was that legend has it that tea was created by the emperor in China, who was also the same emperor, I believe, who created or made or created Chinese medicine. And one day he was out with his troops, I guess, like the troopers or like his bodyguards and stuff, and they had to go rest for the night on their travels because there's a whole lot of land out there, and they pulled the night to go settle in, and they were boiling water because back then you didn't have water treatment facilities, you didn't have Brita, you didn't have indoor plumbing, so the only way to drink water and survive or not risk of deadly bacteria and disease was to boil your water. So he had one of his servants boiling him some water, and I guess these leaves, where they were nearby, fell into the pot of water or whatever they had it in at the time, and it was served to him. And I guess he didn't notice until he was drinking it. And so, more or less, the legend has it that tea was discovered by accident by, I forget the emperor's name, but it's the emperor who also takes credit for Chinese medicine, which, that they play in similar realms as far as, their uses, because, not only does it give, flavor to, boiling hot water, or when you let it cool down, but also it has so many medicinal benefits to it. Um, Depending on the tea, of course, but then your traditional tea comes from one specific. I don't want to say it's an herb; it's a plant. Although they call it a tree, I think, but it's a plant, I think. Although I think that it could be a tree as well, but those classifications get weird, But then too, they have herbal flowers and plants that are classified as herbal teas, but your traditional tea is a specific uh, like leaf that I'd have to look into once more. But it's basically your traditional teas, depending on if it's fermented or the age of the leaf, determines if it's white tea, green tea, or black tea. So the green tea is slightly roasted, slightly dehydrated, and the black tea is fermented, and the white tea is from the young tea leaves. So kind of fun, kind of interesting fact. So it's just getting just cool enough to actually start drinking. So frankly, I part of it could be because I use what are those things called, the percolators. And frankly, between you and me, I think even though water boils at 212, I think it gets hotter. And I think if you let it run, because I walked away for a little while, I think if you let it boil, I think it's hotter, so it takes a little while to cool. But that's just my kind of like throwing thesis out there, or, throwing theory, without putting too much thought into it. So as you can see, when I try to cool it down, it's still steamy, but we're getting down there. So, but I don't add no sugar, no sweetener, or nothing to oolong. And oolong, it's in the black tea family, I believe. But just something about it is just so refreshing, so delightful. And I'm sure too, the tons of antioxidants and all the goodies, that are also in the tea leaves themselves are very, nice. And, like I think because your body likes those things too, that, you're like, oh wow, that's really good. But also too, like I like the earthy flavor. I like it's a robust flavor. Like, unlike the blended teas and my pre-blended black teas that I have, like apricot, mango, those are really mild in taste and really mild in flavor. And the reason why was because they're dipped in like a flavoring, and like not necessarily like a sweetener, but like a sweetened flavor. And it kind of pulls some of the robust flavor out of it. I think because it coats it, where these leaves are basically dried off the plant and slightly roasted or fermented, and then put into shipment. And so, even though there's nothing wrong with the dipped blended teas, the like the oolong and the black tea itself, and green tea are basically just pulled right off the plant. And so, like, they're literally pulled off the plant. So, I accidentally dropped an instant. So, I didn't start selling incense until I started burning them. And I don't know if we're supposed to burn anything like indoors, like, it's an indoor facility. There's a lot of things, a lot of people, it's really crowded. But on the under, I was kind of like lighting one up anyways. And when I mean lighting one up, I mean lighting an incense just in case. Um, but then I started lighting up the incense more and more, and people started coming to my booth, and I was like, this is strange, but kind of cool. And I was all like, I just might kind of lighten up, the air and the fragrance, good feng shui. But people were coming and they were walking and like, ooh, what was that smell? And I said, oh, it's my incense I have here. They're $4, by the way. So that was nice. So even though it's not on Tuesday, I'm so glad that I was able to make you guys a cup of tea today. And no, to normally if it's not done, on a Tuesday, I'll have it out by Wednesday. And I definitely do my best to stay consistent on Tuesday. But there's been, I think, maybe twice now that I've done it on Wednesday, and one Tuesday that I haven't done tea time with Tim. And the reason why is because I didn't have tea when I was like at the location when I was in the middle of moving on that Tuesday. And then I was just so burnt. I was like, you know what? 1 week off. All right. So I might give myself like 2, 3 weeks off a year. More power. But thank you guys for coming along. Also, too, if you want some oolong, I don't think it's on my website right now, but just message me. And also, too, if you guys want a tea and you don't see it on my website, definitely feel free to leave me a message and see, like, either if it's a tea I have, if I can blend it myself, because I also have, like, 15 pounds of dry fruit. So, and I'm running to my last few pounds of variety of tea. I have one jasmine and I think 2 pounds of green tea left, and that's about it. So as I've been doing these tea of the week and tea time with Tim with you guys, I've been going through a lot of tea. So I think I started at 15 pounds or so, maybe a little more, and I'm down to my last 3 pounds. So, and you can get a lot of tea out of a pound. So, but until next week, I hope you guys enjoy your week. I hope you enjoy your tea. Just remember to let it cool down so that way it doesn't burn your throat, your mouth, or anything. And so I know we didn't do Fallout today, but also too, if you guys ever want me to or want to watch me play Fallout, ask anything about Fallout or anything Fallout, definitely feel free to message. I can Fallout forever pretty much. Also too, we can all thank SpaceX and um, those guys helping those astronauts come down. So I know that a lot of these industries get a lot of heat, and get a lot of crap, but they're also the ones that are expanding the human race. They're the ones that are innovating. They're the ones that are basically building an economy and helping our basically whole race survive. So I feel sometimes we can cut them a little bit of slack, and to bring those guys down, I'm sure they're thankful. I'm sure their families are thankful. If it's real or not, if it ain't real, then that's a whole nother story. But you know, um, definitely these things are easy to criticize. But I think when we put thought into it, we can kind of understand like the reason behind them. But until next week, you guys have a good night and enjoy the rest of your tea. Bye.